Hello friends, Adam here with FED. Today we're going to be talking about 0% growth runs in Fire Emblem Three Houses and also tips for players who might be struggling with maddening difficulty. And I have an expert here to talk about these things because I honestly just don't know enough about this and he just really knows his stuff, so why not? Introducing to you all, we have Rengor.
Hello everyone. I don't have a cheesy intro, so hey, that's your intro.
You calling my intro cheesy?
no, no, but Manx, Mecha, Chaz, everyone has their own intros. I just record.
Yeah.
I don't even edit my runs. I just upload raw footage.
All right.
That's how lazy I am.
Hey man, gets the job done. That's the thing. What you're doing is so impressive. Like it's, like you don't need a whole lot of commentary and stuff on top of it. You're just doing your gameplay is insane.
Yeah, when I did record commentary in the Azure Moon run. Recently, I just wasn't able to, so the other two runs are basically no commentary. But hey, it gets the job done.
It does get the job done. So let's just get right into it. If you don't have anything else to introduce yourself.
Not really.
All right, let's just get into it. For the layman, for those who don't know, what is a 0% growths playthrough?
Well, the 0% growth playthrough is a playthrough where you take the game, you hack it, and you make the growth rates of everything 0. Now, immediately with Three Houses, we run into an issue, because students, Byleth, Cyril, and Flame, are all forced to gain at least 2 stats per level up. And there is no easy way to circumvent this without extreme tedium. You can't just hack the game's code or whatever. So what I've done for the 0% run of Three Houses is that I've made the stats gain, dexterity, and luck because they matter the least, and what they only do is improve my own reliability rather than like push thresholds with, HP for survival, resistance for taking less damage, or whatever.
Definitely, and I feel like and honestly, increasing dexterity and luck, all that really does is take, and what that would do, in part, is take some of the RNG out of it for you, so you don't have to
Yeah, but like
save
since
and everything.
yeah, since one's dexterity is one hit anyway, it's not actually that big of an effect.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't feel too bad, and there is precedent for it with the 0% growths. Also, Valencia run where they force luck, so there is historical precedence for this.
Yeah,
in the community, so it's accepted.
Definitely. Either way, it's impressive. It's great. So I guess, for just to like explain what he means here. So when you level up, you don't gain stats. None of his characters gain stats except for luck and dexterity. So you're completely relying on base stats and the base stats of classes that you're promoting into, rather than your own character's personal growth. And this obviously takes tons of planning, but I just want to ask you, like, what do you do or how do you go about planning for such an extreme playthrough?
See, the conception is that it takes a lot of planning. The joke I have with my friends is that I just go into chapters, I make them work, and I make them seem like it's part of some larger scheme. No, there is some planning involved. The main planning is that you want to basically identify the problem areas, which usually in the case of Three Houses consists to 2 things: the Hunting by Daybreak chapter and the Endgame chapter. Those are usually the 2 main points of interest you need to be worried about. Because, well, Hunting by Daybreak forces you into a very uncomfortable situation, and Endgame you kind of have to kill the final boss somehow, so you want to have a plan for that.
Definitely.
Other than that, I obviously do plan short term, but for a 0% growth run, you just want to know what you're aiming for. Like, for example, say I have recruited Ingrid. I know, okay, I want to make her go into Wyvern Rider because Wyvern Rider's base stats are good and it does a lot of damage. So I can use her short term part 1 and some of part 2, for example. And then, for example, I might want to use Leone because he has point blank volley, which circumvents the need to gain stats by always being a brave attack. Same with Shamir with Hunter's volley. In fact, Shamir stayed consistent throughout the Azure Moon run specifically, mainly because she was used a lot there. And she kept overkilling enemies even in endgame with a combination of Hunter's volley, Killer Bolt plus. Other than that, you just want to focus on what isn't stat dependent. Swift strikes, utility, that sort of stuff.
That's really cool.
And
go ahead.
What you do need stats for, you want to cover with gardening, the gardening mechanics for the stat boosters, which is mostly strength with some magic for work thresholds. And then, if you're lacking damage, you can feed the strength boosters to compensate.
Definitely, that's really cool. So I have a question. So in terms of the month schedule in Three Houses, what do you typically do? Is it mostly just exploring at that point, or do you do any auxiliaries to try and get levels? What's up?
I'm not the typical player because, for example, for chapters 3 to 5, I straight up just explore every single day. But honestly, for anyone wanting to do a Three Houses run, I would just recommend explore every day besides the last day of the month. Unless you have some paralogs to do, then you can do more until you get C+, which is where C+ professor level, which is where you unlock the second battle for the Sundays. You should stick to exploring mostly and do one auxiliary map per month at most.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my dog's barking. Sorry about that.
Don't worry. He's probably just trying to warp himself into your room.
Yeah, he's supposed to warp in here and be part of the conversation. You're right. Okay, cool. So, next question. Compared to other games in the series, how difficult is it to 0% do the 0% growth run in Three Houses on Maddening?
Well, since I know what the question is about, I will say that it is very difficult on a technical level, as in actually setting it up, because you need to be editing growths literally on the fly, because for some reason enemy students just pull growths from their playable stats when they're enemies. Thanks game, appreciate it, gotta edit on the fly. But obviously you mean in gameplay terms, so it's pretty mediocre on the scale. Early game is just about the same, and once you start hitting advanced classes, you get a sizable stat boost up to the advanced stat bases, and then you have just a lot of options to break the game wide open, even when not just instantly warp skipping. That's what I do for part 2, but hey, that's a different story. No, you just get a lot of options by then, swift strikes, etc. So I would say it's about medium on the difficulty scale. It's not quite dead, I would say. There is planning involved, obviously, mostly with skill, weapon level, and trying to gain proper amounts, and then recruiting people, etc. But it's not the hardest because the options are there, so you're not starved for options specifically.
Cool. So what is considered the more difficult games in the series to 0%?
Awakening, honestly, would be my first bet, which is actually the only game in the series for now, since I've done Three Houses mostly, that hasn't been completed on the highest difficulty yet. Awakening Lunatic and Lunatic Plus has not been done on 0% yet, just because of how few high stat units you get, and the fact that enemies just outscale you super hard. The lack of options and enemy super scaling basically makes it probably the hardest 0% for now. What else? Obviously, I mean, New Mystery 0% is difficult. That's just New Mystery being super difficult to begin with, so not much change there. It has been beaten on Lunatic Reverse though, 0%. Even without crits, someone named, I think it was Reploids, who managed to pull off a run like that with no critical hits. Or there are no critical hits that are matter.
That's insane.
Like, obviously you get some free crits here and there when enemies have 0 luck. None of them matter.
Man, when I am like, I don't know, I'm so impressed by all the people, all you guys who can do this stuff. It's so insane. So like definitely go check out Rengor's channel. The link is in the description. He is doing, he's playing Three Houses in a more difficult way than anybody else is right now. Definitely the guy to watch for this. Again, check him out. But now let's move away from the 0% growth talk into just tips for players who are struggling with maddening difficulty. So Rengor's already thrown a few out, but obviously he knows this stuff. He is the guy to listen to when it comes to this. So I'm just going to turn it over to him for a few minutes and just let him share some tips for people who are struggling with this game. So go ahead, Rengor.
Oh boy, effort. Okay, well, first of all, I think the biggest thing is to look out for minor details. Like, for example, you can be optimal when choosing your birthday. This is not a joke, I wish it was. If you pick a birthday in like the 5th month, you get Charm Booster early, which translates to instant hit. So just paying attention to minor details can pay a lot of dividend. For the early game, I know LTCs exist, obviously, but like the Chapter 2 LTC is so unreliable that I would just say Turtle. Like, come on, it's an option, it's reliable, just do it. You don't have options by now. Obviously, bows help. I know Bow Emblem is kind of a meme, but it does help early game, just to have the option to linked attack. If you picked female, unlike, for example, Eagles, they especially enjoy them, you can get Sylvain, be tanky for you. Just use your combat arts. That's important because they often raise hit rates. Smash being the most important one because it's plus 20 hit for access, and then Tempest lands for a lot of damage. Once you're done with like the early game hell of Chapter 2 and potentially Chapter 3, honestly, you can do a lot of stuff on Maddening. It's not as restrictive as you might think. What you want to do is you want to have a roster of characters planned out who you're gonna use, and what class and like what skill, what weapon ranks you want to have them end up with. Like, for example, I want Felix to end the run with Sea Authority because I don't want to raise it too high, for example. So you can get, for example, the Victor Private Military Battalion. Then I want to raise his Gauntlet rank for Grappler, for instance, that sort of stuff. Just have a plan going into Maddening, and you'll be fine. For players not playing on the Crimson Flower route, you need to also pay attention to the Hunting by Daybreak chapter, because that chapter can quite literally soft lock you if you go into it without a save into chapter 12. So definitely make sure to save on multiple save files. 2 or 3 is enough, but just don't save on one, just so you can go back. You don't actually need to train your house units for hunting specifically just because of Hunting by Daybreak. You just need to train like either some of them or look up a skip strategy, which those exist. I've worked on optimizing Hunting by Daybreak to the point where no one needs to do that map again. Naga Effie has a video on the 5 turn of Blue Lions. I have a 5 turn of Silver Snow, and Verdant Wind one is not recorded, but it's pretty similar. But even if you're not skipping, you just need to train, for example, some specific units and then aggro enemies on that map, so that they don't go after the weak ones. But once you're past Hunting by Daybreak, it's usually fine. You just need to make sure your team isn't like absolute garbage. People have done like Toyo runs of Maddening, or screw over your opponent runs. So honestly, you can pull off a lot of things in this game. Use your battalions. I cannot stress this enough. Use your battalions and use the good ones. Major shout out goes to some of the parallel battalions, like for example the Raphael one, which is Leicester Mercenaries. It's an amazing battalion for offensive units. Use things that do not require stats. That's my main tip, honestly. I mean, I am the 0% growth guy, so I'm obviously gonna tell you stuff that I found from my runs, but turns out that not requiring stats to work is kind of a good thing. And
what are some examples of things that don't require stats?
okay, so obvious example, it would be like someone like Linhardt, who can just go bishop and be a healer and be a warp, and basically the only stat he ever needs is magic for warp range, then that's it. Like, obviously healing utility. Then you have Gambit or Rally utility, which is where you have a unit carry a supportive Gambit. Like Impregnable Wall, Retribution, and have rallies. An example is Annette, who can also do some work as a combat unit, but she can also, rally strength, rally speed, give you. She has high authority, so she can carry around Retribution, for example, run Azure Moon Blue Lion Dancers for Dance of the Goddess, sort of things. And then the third category is things that work because of just either sheer stats or sheer power of the combat art. And a prime example of this is Bernadetta, who people usually trash talk due to thinking she is trash. But honestly, unlike if you took units from the Eagle's house, right? You have Edelgard, Hubert, Ferdinand, Petra, Dorothea, Linhardt, Bernadetta. Am I missing anyone here?
I don't know.
Caspar, right? I forget
Caspar,
he exists.
Yeah.
But honestly, behind Edelgard, I would say Bernadetta is honestly the best unit in that house. And it all comes down to one thing: her C plus Lance's combat art, Vengeance. This is a combat art that is severely underrated in the community as of now, and I aim to change that. But what it does is that it directly converts HP lost to damage dealt. So if Bernadetta is missing 30 HP, she gets 30 damage. And as you can imagine, this can reach some ridiculous damage thresholds, down to 0% growth Bernadetta OH KOing the Chapter 4 Death Knight with a Steel Lance. He just gets one-shotted. Yeah, then she can just transition into being this awesome utility unit, because with just the Vengeance damage alone and with growths, on 0% growths I had to go Paladin to compensate for, I don't have stats. But on a growths run, you can honestly do a lot of things with her. You can go the Bow Knight route even, and just keep using Vengeance, and then have the bows as a, utility thing. Deadeye is a meme, but Deadeye isn't good, honestly. It's less bad when it's on a high mobility unit. And then Encloser can, for example, shut down a Demonic Beast's movement completely. She has Battalion Wrath, which you can combine with, for example, Vantage from Mastering Mercenary. And then you have the Vantage Battalion Wrath combo. If you can set that up, she can crit blick enemies while she's on low HP enemy phase, and then on player phase just one-shot them. She can even go Holy Knight, which is completely insane because that class is terrible. She has Physic and Rescue, and since she does damage with Vengeance anyway, you can just keep using Vengeance, and then have Physic and Rescue as a utility. So you see where I'm going with this? She just has a lot of options, for example, and she just works off of these stats. When she promotes to you should probably give her the Seraph Robe, honestly, because just plus 5 damage for her. But it's an example of a thing that doesn't require stats. Something to mention that I forgot to mention is class mastery skills, and the 4 most important ones are, Death Blow, Fiendish Blow, Bardic Blow, and Hit plus 20. Building Blow isn't necessary on everyone, I just want to point that out. But the speedster type units, where you just want the unit to, double enemies, essentially, even if it's just speed middle speed tier, you want that. For example, let's say Wyvern Lord Petra, she wants Death Blow, Darting Bow, and hit plus 20. Basically everyone wants hit plus 20, I just want to say this, besides like Linhard, who doesn't fight, since he's just healer, but basically everyone wants hit plus 20 because it just guarantees so much hit. You go from, for example, 65% hit to 85% under 2 RN, which goes from decent chance to miss to basically guaranteed hit rate. Then, Death Blow is just, plus 6 damage, kind of good type of deal.
Okay, so that was a lot. That was some very dense information. I hope you were taking notes, because literally everything he just said was gold. Like, that was... Bernadetta, I'm gonna use I've never trained Bernadetta personally, so like I'll take that as a wake up call. Bernadetta sounds.
Oh yeah, by the way, about Bernadetta, since Vengeance like scales, you don't need to be at 1 HP for her. Getting to 1 HP is not actually hard in this game, because you can give her a guard adjutant, which just leaves her at 1 HP. Or if you're going the Falcon Knight route for her, which she can do because she can just go flyer. Flyers are good. She can get the blessing. She can get the blessing used on her, and 3 other units, so it's not a waste on her. You're not just using blessing on her. You're also using it on 3 other people, so it's not a waste. And she gets to 1 HP this way, because blessing prevents you from being killed if you're above 1 HP. It stops the lethal blow and makes you fall to 1 HP. So if you just apply basic arithmetics, which I know, very crazy proposition in Fire Emblem, basic arithmetics, but there are just so many ways to exploit this game. And while we're on the topic of like my personal things, I want to give the meme shout out to something that isn't quite uploaded yet, but will be. Dark Mage Sedath. And Dark Mage Sedath is like mostly a meme, but it's something that I've considered and done because, like, basically a combination of things working without stats, which is Fear of a Soul with strikes. 42 might against cavalry. The Silver Snow Death Knight, the final encounter, has around 105 avoid. So, the solution: we reclass Sedath to Dark Mage, because Dark Mage has Heart Seeker, so it produces a Death Knight's avoid, 20. So, Sedath can just use the Spear of Assault to kill him instantly, then and there, as a Dark Mage. With the Dark Seal, Death Knight dropped in the previous chapter.
That's insane.
So, like, again, I said at the beginning to pay attention to like the minute things, but sometimes even like the most insane propositions in Free Houses can just turn out to be the optimal play. I've lost count of how many seemingly bad ideas turned into optimal play, so definitely experiment with this game. There's a lot of that to be done. Again, I'm gonna mention the Bernadetta example. Like, put the Vengeance part on her, but experiment. Like, she can go Paladin, Falcon Knight, Bow Knight, even Holy Knight, for Christ's sake. Like, how often are you gonna see a Holy Knight in this game? Like, never. It might be the first... This might legit be the first case of that being useful. Or hell, even like, on someone else, like Felix, I wanna give a shout out to a meme build I recently found. For Felix, I say that his best class is Grappler. Okay, before I go into Felix, I want to mention one other thing. Classes on Maddening, and the fact that advanced classes are more often than not better than master classes. For example, Grappler versus War Master, those two are kind of similar, but I would say they do different things. Like, Grappler is better for player face because of Fierce Iron Fist, and with Killer Knuckles Plus, the chances are about equal, but you do more damage in Grappler with that. And Sniper classes bow knight, unless it's Leone, with Hunter's Volley, which does guaranteed high damage, with better bows like Killer Bow Plus, Fail Not or something. Like, meanwhile, War Master would be something that I would consider for a Wrath Vantage build due to the innate plus 20 crit and Axe Fair. So, like, if you're doing Wrath Vantage, you might want to go War Master. If you're doing a player face build, you go Grappler. That sort of stuff. Like, going from Warlock to Gramarye loses you on free damage overall, but Gramarye is a bit harder to reach. Obviously, it's also female only, but hey. Dark Knight loses magic uses, while Warlock has more, sort of thing. We just want to consider things. So yeah, advanced classes can be better than master classes. And then the Great Knight is a joke because getting it is basically impossible. Going back to the Felix example, I would say that Grappler is the best class for him, especially out of house, as in recruited. But I did recently find out that. So, you know the effect of the Aegis Shield, right? When it's on Felix specifically, where it has the Vice Aegis effect. So, it turns out that this effect is separate from the Pavise skill and the Aegis skill. So, if you have those skills on Fortress Knight Felix, you equip the Aegis Shield, he gets quite high proc rates for Vice suddenly. So, Tank Felix might just be a fun build to try out. If you're not doing basic Overlord, Grappler, Sniper, whatever. But again, experimentation is nice.
Well, man, that was again. Thank you so much for coming on. That was like
no problem.
That was a master class in how to play Fire Emblem Three Houses, and my dog needs to shut his face. Sorry, but yeah, that was
do not abuse the dog, Laguz.
I don't abuse my dog. I just tell him to stop barking.
They might want to take over. Come on.
But really, thank you so much. Like that was you opened my eyes to a lot of things, and I've played through. And I have 400 hours of gameplay into this game, and I've done 15, 16 playthroughs. And you're just opening my eyes to these new possibilities of class sets and skill sets that are just so cool. Things I haven't thought of, especially the Dark Mage setup sounds hilarious.
That's a
I know that's like a meme.
It's a meme for one specific chapter, but for that one specific chapter, it's golden.
Yeah, it's hilarious. That's so good, and just these little specific situations that you figured out because of your 0% growth runs and stuff, man. Dude, you're the real deal when it comes to this game, man. Good stuff. So if you want more Rengor, go check out his channel, Rengor1997. The link is in the description. It'll be on the end cards and everything. Do you have anything you want to close out or sell yourself a little bit, Rengor?
Not really. I don't do sellouts. If you want to watch my run, just go watch it. You might want to use the YouTube speed up, because again, I don't edit my videos, so if you find the emulator speed too unbearable, just speed up the video with YouTube. It's an option for a reason. But try.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, keep up the good work. Super impressive stuff. And yeah, thanks for joining. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe for more content like this. And of course, like the video for better visibility for us. And comment your thoughts. What are some tips you have for other players for Maddening? And also, I'm just curious, what did you learn from Rengor today? It's insane stuff today. Really, really great informational video. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you next time.